Tory on provisional pole now with a 15.5 in the racing points. A lot of the drivers are struggling to find improvement at the moment. So I think that wraps it up. There's nobody else able to set a time. Tory takes pole in Spain. It's lights out and away we go in Spain. Tory leads them away, and look at the Williams of Ice Kid Man coming through. Ice Kid Man looks to take the lead as we go to turn one. Contact! And around goes Ice Kid Man and off goes T-Keg, and there's contact at the back as well. Tory leads, a virtual safety car deployed. 3 or 4 cars, both Mercedes involved in that, and so it's King Bart who's looking like the driver with the big advantage here, and a service safety car. So that could work out very, very well for King Bart if they're able to pit now. Excellent defensive drive from Tory and hold off that charging Red Bull. King Bart is the king of Spain. It is 2 out of 2. And the next round in Monza, the question will be asked, can anyone stop the king? Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to round 3 from FR Series Division 5. We are here in Monza, and I am joined once again by McNaughton. Yes, indeed. So, well, I mean, you know, we've had, I think, relatively quiet races at the top level and relatively very chaotic races at the bottom level. We will see where Division 5 sits on that particular spectrum. So, what have we got? Well, we can take a quick look at the Drivers' Championship as it stands coming into this weekend, and it looks a little bit like this. The new graphics provided by Roy Weller, of course, our very own, who is 11th in the championship. But King Bart leads the way with a maximum 52 points. And McNaughton, that looks ominous, but he hasn't had it all his own way in the first 2 races. Yeah, I think 52 points, you know, that's 2 wins and 2 fastest laps. We can't hear McNaughton. Why can't we hear McNaughton? I know why we can't hear McNaughton. I know why we can't hear McNaughton. Don't worry, nothing he said has been of any use to anybody. You should be able to hear him now.
Hear me, because Harringzord's been too busy abandoning me for higher and better casts on the FRS series.
I did a silly thing. I did not change my audio from what I was using for my own race just before.
Well, to get back to what I was saying, King Bart, obviously, you know, spectacular pit strategy in the last race to get away and out in front of Tory. But, you know, it's easy when you're out in front, everybody's after you. So it's going to come down to King Bart if he can keep the metal, you know, keep on top, or is just that trailing pack going to hunt him down, and long live the king indeed.
Like I say, I mean, 52 points suggests that we've run away with it and got the fastest lap easily. But it's, you know, we did finish behind Ice Kid Man on the track in Brazil, and it was the penalty that gave King Bart the victory there. Yep. And there was, you know, it was looking like he probably had the pace to win in Spain, but the timing of the safety car meant that we were kind of denied that race between him and Tory. So it is 52 points on the board. That is difficult for everybody else to catch up, but you would suggest that Renault is the car to beat. In the Constructors' Championship, though, King Bart kind of having to do it on his own because Kana has struggled in the opening 2 races. Racing Point not too far behind.
Yep, got to rep some Racing Point being my manufacturer of choice as well. So Hercules and Tory, they seem to work very well balanced, and one of them seems to do well at one course and the other seems to do very well at the other. So it's a good team there. Ice Kid Man and the Williams, of course, being strong. But, I mean, come on, guys. King Bart on his own, out winning the Constructors' Championship. You just need to get something done here. Can't have this.
We'll check in with our regular feature, which is Nuggets Naughty List, and this is how it looks after round 2 in Spain. We have got Evil Steel kind of running away with the award that you don't want to run away with.
I mean, he might want it. I mean, he might just think that's something. It's very honourable and great, list to be part on. We've also got Canurdi here as well. Almost half the time lost is Evil Steel.
Indeed. So this includes stewards' penalties that are picked up in the stewards' room and awarded out in the sort of Thursday and Friday of the following week. The cars are just in the practice session now over in Monza. So what we can do before we go and join them, firstly, we can get a prediction from yourself now. Who do you fancy for pole position here?
Pole position, I'm going to say, I think this is going to be Hercules' track. So Hercules pole for me, King Bart second, third, Van on Base did a great race last week. I think Van on Base is going to continue that. So that's my top three for qualifying.
Nugget sticking his neck on the line and very much backing Ferrari here in Monza. We will soon see how accurate that decision is. Of course, we saw a fairly chaotic race in Brazil last time out in Spain. It was a little quieter, but we did get one safety car and a few incidents. A lot of drivers sort of spinning off towards the start of the race. And if we've seen anything from the lower divisions in Monza, keeping your nose clean is absolutely key.
Definitely. If anything, it's really that first chicane that we've found so far have been the biggest issue. So if any of the drivers are in chat listening just into the warm-ups and that, the last thing you want to do is cost yourself a race just going into that first corner. Realistically, there's a lot of laps to go, a lot of speed on track. Just make sure you're in that right position coming out of the first chicane going into the second one.
Well, speaking of the track, why don't we take a look at this Monza circuit? I've upgraded the track guide for this week so that we've got a very, very fancy, well, I say very, very fancy video. I've largely just ripped the video that F1 2020 provides you. But here it is. This is the Monza circuit, the Temple of Speed, as it's known. We've got 11 corners on this one. Nice and flat. Not too many hills to deal with or anything here, but there's lots of high-speed corners and plenty of opportunity for things to go wrong. We will pop over now to qualifying, which is just about to get underway here. And we will see if anybody can stop King Bart here at the Italian Grand Prix. The weather looking good. Nice and sunny for this qualifying session right now. Obviously, we can't see how it's looking for the race. And a chance for us to welcome Dennis the Great, who joins for the first time in the second Williams. We've got 18 cars expected to run.
Fantastic. Also, big welcome to Dennis the Great. Hope they've been following along. Hopefully takes a bit of pressure off Ice Kid Man being that sole Williams driver. And it'll be interesting to see what Dennis has to offer today. I must say, Zord, you failed to mention who your favourites are going to be here. I'm not going to let you away with that so easy.
I mean, I can be boring and pick King Bart, right? Or I can be not boring and pick Tory to win this one today. There we go. So we've got some cars streaming out onto the circuit. The first of which is the sole Alfa Romeo today, Dave K804. We don't have Iona, and we don't appear to have Obsidian either. Obsidian, who went very well last time out in Spain, but doesn't appear to be able to make it this evening.
No, both will be missed, but we'll see how it goes. We've got a few cars here just getting out nice and early. See how if they can set a real marker here. Oh, the Hummer going a bit fast into first chicane already. Lucky it is just an outlap.
What we got? We've got 2 racing points, nose to tail. We've got the 2 Williams nose to tail. We'll see whether anybody opts to use the toe in this session, because of course the slipstream effect can be big around Monza. It's all straight lines. Okay, not nailing, but it is the outlap, the Ascari chicane. And just behind him on the track is one of the Renaults, and it is the Renault of King Bart. So an opportunity to see how King Bart, the championship leader, gets on in the early part of this session. What sort of times are we looking for? Well, in the higher divisions, you've been looking at the low 118s. I think we're probably looking at the 19s here, maybe a very low 118 for pole from some of the top guys. But you're probably looking at low 119s to be very competitive around this track.
Good indeed. Now Dave K out in front also on his hot lap here. We'll see what sort of time they can get down on the track.
very quickly move my FRS graphic because it's in a stupid spot. Go. Let's fix that. King Bart, fairly serenely as it seems, progressing around. 26.2 for the first sector. It's faster than Dave K won't do that. And that's why it's flashing up purple on your mini-map. And of course, we don't have a lot to judge until everybody's set a time. And hopefully, everybody can set a time cleanly. But it's very easy to cut the corners and break the track limit penalties here at Monza. You've got to be quick, but you've got to be precise as well through these very fast chicanes.
Especially when it comes to Ascari, if you don't get that initial turn in timed perfectly, you can lose a massive amount of time trying to recorrect yourself and avoid the actual cutting penalty. So Ascari, a big corner in these pits, in these qualifying laps, I'd say. Yeah,
I mean, I know from my own practice times, I was losing up to 7-8 tenths if I was getting the first part of Ascari wrong, so it can absolutely ruin your lap time. Dave K sets the initial pace, but we expect that to be beaten by King Bart, who does a 1:19.8.
Oof. Big sense done there from King Bart, but plenty of time and plenty of drivers to go. See what we can get here.
Tory into second place on a 1:20.1. We're seeing TK come across the line now as Mahoney goes third on a 1:27. And TK takes provisional pole by, what's that, 8 thousandths of a second.
Yep.
Nice Kidman just moving slowly there. We've got Homosep about to come around and complete their lap. And going into the pits, aborting that one, despite not having invalidated. So who else is on a hot one? We've got a Reef at the moment. Just coming out of Curva Grande and down towards the Variante della Rogier. Yellow flag in that sector. Not sure what for. We've got a slow-moving Williams of Ice Kid Man doing the right thing and just keeping out the way. Cookie puts in a 1:19.1, which is a very rapid time in that AlphaTauri. 7 tenths clear.
That's a big time. Big statement there from Cookie, who we've not seen it up the top end of qualifying yet, but perhaps Monza is the track for the Cookie Monster.
Look at the traffic here on the back stretch as Arif tries to negotiate that.
Arif, of course, our keyboard warrior, our Mr. 10th place. We'll see if he can keep that up for a triple 10 here today.
The Red Bull not really getting out of the way, and I don't think that Red Bull is on a quick lap, so potentially hampering Arif here as we come around the Parabolica. Yeah, Evil Steel very much getting in the way in that section of the course, and Arif goes P13, very much compromised on that lap. Here comes Ice Kid Man starting their own quick lap, presumably. Will have saved up all of the ERS, bailing out of that early, and a chance to ride on board with the Williams as we come down towards the Variante, the Rettifilio. Hard on the brakes into second gear. Very, very heavy braking point. But you don't want to lose the back end coming out of turn 2. It's up the gears as quickly as possible. And through the flat-out Curva Grande, which is not really a corner. You want to stick to the inside as much as you possibly can. And around about the 100-metre board, it'll be hard on the brakes again for the left-right of Variante della Rogier. We've invalidated that one, unfortunately, as we look to cut as much curb as we possibly can on the inside. And that kind of denies me the chance to talk you through the rest of a hot lap, which is a bit of a shame.
We are getting voice from the chat, though, that Arif has betrayed the keyboard and is now on a wheel. So we'll see what impact, if any, that's going to have on his positioning today.
With the greatest respect to Cookie, from what we've seen from them in the first couple of races, did they only do 10 of the corners around that track? Because it's miles clear.
That is indeed. I mean, as I said, maybe Monza is just the race for the Cookie Monster. I'll be interested to see, if that time's going to get matched, if it's going to get beaten. 7 tenths for TK King Bart, it's going to be very interesting to see. And if Ice Kid Man can set a lap.
I mean, I would go out on a limb now and suggest that that'll be good enough for a top 5 start already at this stage. Looking at a lot of drivers having to make up over a second to be able to best that. Here comes Homosep.
Oh! Ghosting in. Sorry, I was watching Ice Kid Man coming at the pits and Mahoney came out and ghosted through him. So, thankfully, if that is standard practice, that is a thing. Otherwise, it could be carnage.
Yeah, you won't find any incidents in the pit lane. I think it would be pretty harsh if Codemaster's got that wrong.
It is what it is.
So, here comes Homosep on a second attempt. Invalidated the first time around in that Mercedes. And you can see the Haas just keeping over to one side. as Hummersep comes into the Variante della Rogier. Hits a little bit of gravel up there, but it does go purple in the first sector. Fastest of all is Hummersep in that Mercedes.
Yeah, he does have clean air, mostly. He's probably going to catch up to the Williams ahead, but that'll not be if at all till Parabolica. So a lot of big opportunity here for Hummersep to set a real time.
Yeah, DRS wide open. Got to get Ascari right. Kind of cautious, not as aggressive as we've seen from other people, but it's clean and it's hitting all the apexes at the very least.
Exactly. We'll see what sort of pace coming down the back here, going into Parabolica.
Late as you can, late apex if you can. Not perfect from Hummersep.
Yeah.
I think this is probably good enough for top 10, but I don't think it'll be good enough to challenge right towards the front. Not really sticking to the right hand side of the short route. A 1:20.4 is 7th place for the Mercedes driver. Mention as well for Jock James in P5 at the moment, on an outlap and about to go again.
Yeah, Jock James, after the Spain, he had a few issues in Spain along with the safety car, and I believe it was a disconnection. So Jock James also looking to redeem himself here a bit and get some points on the board to make up for the pain in Spain, as it were.
So Cookie still with that 7/10 advantage over anybody else in the field. We've got plenty of time left for somebody to catch up with that, and we'll see if Jock James can be the one to do so. Oh, Karner's retired. I think that's Karner in the wall, coming out of the second Lesmo and out of this session. Not able to set a better time in the second round.
T-Keg coming through fast. T-Keg third place with a 1:19.6 dead.
Yeah, King Bart improved to a 19.4 as well. We missed that while we were watching Jock James here at the back part of the circuit. So King Bart now P2 and T-Keg in third position. So it's the usual suspects for the most part up at the top. Dennis the Great goes up into P6 on his debut in the second Williams. Jock James slightly down on their own best as they come through Ascari, but looking nice and clean. No, not clean. And the tank slapper into the wall, and that'll be Jock James out of this session. Terminal damage to that McLaren.
Poor Jock James, just struggling with that car, it seems, on every track, just trying to get the beast under control. Hopefully it won't impact him too much when it comes down to position on track.
Roy Weller's had to bail out of that one as well because of the incident. We can have a look at Ice Kid Man, who is considerably up on their own personal best, as you might expect, considering their personal best is a 1:37.7.
Canurdi coming around here. Looks like it might be a late 19, early 20 for him. Yep, early 1:20.2 puts Canurdi in 6th.
And Van Base going up to 8th position in the Ferrari as well. Strong showing from Ferrari so far. Both drivers in the top 10. We'll see what Ice Kid Man, remember, who took pole position in Brazil. Back end stepping out a little bit there as we come through the final part of the Ascari chicane. And flat on the power all the way down to the Parabolica.
Ice Kid Man coming round in at the Parabolica. Looking a bit slow to really challenge this time. See how he does.
Yeah, it's been a little bit messy from the Williams, and it's a 1:20.4. Good enough for P13 only.
Yep.
Evil Steel currently on a much slower lap. Is there anyone on a quick one? We've got Mahoney on the circuit on looking what is a slow down lap as well. So I think we're just in a calm before the storm moment.
Yep.
So Mahoney in P4 into the 19s as well. But I mean, it's looking very, very difficult for anyone to beat that time from Cookie in the AlphaTauri.
Definitely, and you know, all power to Cookie. You know, as we said, he's not really been sparking up the qualifying times at least. You know, he's found himself middle of the pack, kind of fighting for position and points, but that's a very impressive time, and we'll see if he holds that from King Bat. You know, we could have the Cookie Monster leading this race, getting some big points.
So here comes the racing point of Tory, currently on the medium tyres. Attempting to set a faster lap here. Very interesting decision. Hard on the brakes.
Ice Kid Man as well, coming through on a fast lap, but again 5 seconds down, so Ice Kid Man really looking to struggle to get that pace and keep it on the track.
I think Ice Kid Man's going round for another, it was probably a slowdown lap to recharge the battery, and he seems to be going again, so it's possibly fueled that car up quite a bit. There's a slow-moving Alfa Romeo that hopefully keeps out the way.
Oh,
in the first
definitely.
chicane.
Well, yeah, definitely. Dave K jumping well out the way there, so very well done there from Dave K.
Big moment for Tori as we came out of the Variante della Roggia, and that might have compromised this lap considerably. We've got a slow-moving Racing Point of Hercules on the back straight, but I don't think it should affect us too much. King Bart is the car ahead on the circuit because, of course, Kana has dropped the car into the barrier at some point earlier on. Tori quite far down on a personal best on this lap.
Yeah, out 0.3 down, but out on the mediums. See how Tori does here. King Bart on his outlap, so we'll be hoping to try and steal that first place back on qualification.
Currently looking at Roy Weller and the McLaren just outside the top 10 at the moment. And the Hummer, I think it's Hummer Sepp, just diving out the way, doing the right thing again in that Mercedes, just looking to keep right out the way of someone on a hot lap.
Definitely. Roy Weller 4.7 tenths down quicker than their best time, which if they keep that up will be looking just under a 120, which could be as good as 5th or 4th.
Yeah,
we'll see if Roy Weller can keep this pace.
Bit of a lock-up into the second Lesmo there, but I don't think it'll have cost him too much time. And now half a second up on his own personal best, which is again looking at top 5.
Yep, and clean track, no cars in front. So can Roy Weller finally break the commentator's curse I seem to give him and deliver us with a big performance here?
I mean, you've mentioned it now, so here comes the parabolic mistake.
We'll wait and see. Roy Weller's going to hate me by the end of this, but we'll wait and see.
Out the final corner.
Can we get it?
And Roy Weller over the line for a 19.9, P6.
P6. And that's a very good time there. Stealing a spot on Tori as well.
Look at King Bar, 3 tenths up on his own personal best, and that would be good enough for provisional pole if he can keep that up. This is looking like a mighty lap from the Renault driver.
So a bit understeer going into that parabolic. We'll see if he holds it through.
Across the line for King Bar, and it is provisional pole, a 119.0. And well a bit of a shake of the car. Very, very happy with that one.
The king is here, boys and girls. The king is here indeed, and he's not giving up the crown easily.
Ice Kid Man popping into P4. We didn't spot that one on camera, but a good lap from the Williams driver. And it's very, very close throughout the whole field here. Hummersep, who was looking good before, now down in P14. And slower on this particular lap. Few cars just on outlaps at the moment. So we'll wait to see who's going to be next to set a competitive time. We're not going to be Hercules. That's not a legal route through the second chicane. And we're invalidated that one. So I think we can possibly watch Van on base, who had a very quiet but very stellar race last time out in the Ferrari, climbing from P14 to P4 and invalidating the lap at the very first chicane.
Got Hummersep coming round and in at the pits. Not a quick lap there from him. O'Hay is raiding with bar of 18. Thank you, O'Hay, and all viewers of that race. I believe it was Division 3, 4?
Division 3, yeah. So welcome along, everybody, to round 3 here from FRS Division 5. You are here with Harringzord and McNaughton. We are here in Monza, and we are looking at a very feisty qualifying session. King Bart is ahead just from Cookie, who pulled a lap time out of nowhere. 119.1, and we need to see now whether Cookie can go even faster to try and take pole position back in that AlphaTauri.
Indeed, indeed. Just trying to find anyone that's potentially out on a fast lap.
We've got Cookie a 10th down on his own personal best, but you can recover that. And that looked very, very quick through the Variante della Roggia. Yellow flag in Sector 2. We've got a slow-moving Red Bull that hopefully won't get in the way yet. Evil Steel doing the right thing, keeping to one side. Looking for a little bit of a tow is Cookie here from that Red Bull.
Yep, and he might get a tow from the car in front, which I believe is Tori when it comes down to the back stretch going to Parabolica. Oh, just holds it there into Ascari.
Yeah, a little bit messy to Ascari. I'm not sure this is going to be an improvement for Cookie, but I could be wrong.
Wait and see.
Will be a last attempt. We'll have used up all of the battery here, so we won't get another go after this one.
This could be very close based on the markers. I think this could be very close for Cookie.
Cookie out the final corner and straight lining it, but it's not going to improve until 119.5.
there for Cookie.
T-Keg is quicker, but I don't think T-Keg is quicker enough. Hercules has binned it on his own quick lap.
T-Keg could steal third place here, though, if he keeps his pace through. Lost it at Parabolica.
Yeah, lost quite a lot of time there in the Parabolica. So we now go over to Tory, who's gone P3 in that racing point. Ice Kid Man just starting a quick lap now. Just made it through ahead of time. And the Williams, of course, who stole pole position at the last possible moment in Brazil, looking to do the same thing here and was quicker in the first sector there. Mahoney just made it to the line. And I think one of the McLarens, Roy Weller, just missing out, not getting around to the flag quickly enough.
Canurdi coming around Parabolica here, 2/10 up, which could steal them a top 6 place if they can deliver it just here on the final corner.
Here is Nodi in that McLaren, and it is P5.
Big steal there from Canurdi, perfectly timed.
So back to Ice Kid Man, who's a 10th up again. A 10th not really enough, but it might be enough to challenge the second row, and we've invalidated. That's unfortunate. So it's down to not T-Cake. I think with Mahoney's the only car on track.
Mahoney looking like the one here. Mahoney 2/10 down, which will put him at 1:19.7, which would be enough to stay, and he needs a bit more pace here.
It was a little messy through Ascari. And that might have cost us too much time, but we'll see how it is as we come out of the Parabolica for the Mercedes.
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Can he steal a spot on Ice Kid Man or Canurdi here? He needs to get a 3/10.
Out a bit there. And Mahoney over the line, and that is not good enough. P7, a slight improvement, but it is King Bart who takes pole position here in Spain for actually the first time this season that the Renault driver has taken pole position. Big shout out to Cookie, who finishes second in this one, and Tory rounding out the top 3.
Indeed. Hercules and Jock James as well. Be glad to see them keeping top 10 position despite having a few incidents. And definitely big performance there from Cookie. Definitely coming up and showing the speed.
Indeed. So McLaren looking strong, P5 and P8, and from McLaren's point of view, it's just, can we have a clean race? It's been kind of messy from Nordy and Roy Weller in the first couple of races this season. Dennis the Great going well on his FRS debut. It's the first time he's been able to make it this season, so as we said, we welcome him along. And P12 means that he's well on the pace and able to fight for some points in that Williams. But it is King Bart who takes pole here in Italy and gives himself a big advantage heading into the race.
Indeed, and we'll be looking to see if Cookie can keep that pace, put it down, and just get around this first corner. I think, having watched the races already this weekend, you know, we can see first place going to last place on this first corner. We can see drivers coming from 14th up to 3rd. So I think definitely it's going to be a tight one here, and we'll just see how this goes going into the first chicane.
King Bart from Cookie, Tory, T-Keg, Nordy and Ice Kid Man are your top 6 ahead of this Italian Grand Prix. And we are very, very much looking forward to this one. So, tyre strategy. Generally soft medium. If you're in the latter half of the field, you probably go medium soft and hope for the best. Of course, all of the drivers that qualified in the top 10 have to start on the tyres that they set their best time on.
Of course. Now, there is going to be that course of obviously the big chance of safety car, a lot more likely than Spain. The runoffs aren't so wide and aren't so deep, so there is that opportune moment. We'll see if King Bart does get to take advantage of another safety car, but I would say, you know, when you're going out here on track, almost expect a safety car at some point and just be ready to take advantage of it.
In the lower divisions, we have seen multiple safety cars. It has been carnage in some of those lower divisions. Division 5 is technically a lower division, although a lot of these guys are very much more than competent at this game. None more so than the man we're looking at right now, King Bart, who takes his first pole position of the season. But if he can take a lights to flag victory here, it'll be very, very ominous for everybody else in Division 5.
Indeed. But, I mean, looking at the, not best of the rest, but if we take away the King Barts and the Tories, Canurdi up there at 5th, very good to see. Canurdi, obviously, him and Roy Weller have been struggling, just kind of with on-race incidents, not necessarily their own. So it'll be good to see if they can get some pace and some points down here. Roy Weller, is forever getting sick of seeing racing points. So now that he's in front of one, hopefully we'll see a performance from Roy Weller, which I'm most looking forward to.
I think the frustrating thing from everybody's point of view is that it's very, very close between a lot of guys in Division 5. And it's not like King Bart is miles clear. It's not like he was half a second clear on that qualifying lap and was clearly too quick for the division. He's just consistently just clear.
And what I say, the key with King Bart almost is that consistently clean. I don't think he's picked up a penalty as of yet. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's very clean and very fast. Now, as you said, not necessarily that much faster than everybody else, but it's that not picking up penalties that seems to be the key factor in a lot of these races that we've had in Division 5.
We've got a long gap from King Bart at the front to Dave Kay at the back. The field are quite spread out on this formation lap. Now, that would be a bit of a disastrous scenario in real Formula 1 because the tyres would cool down. I imagine F1 2020 is not that harsh.
Indeed. I'm going to jump on board just for the start with my good friend Roy Weller, just to see a view from a bit deeper.
As you predicted, pit stop strategy.
We do. I don't know if it's a glitch, but I don't see a Canurdi yet.
He's just moving through now.
There we go. There we go. The ghost of Canurdi has appeared.
Here we go then. 4 red lights, 5 red lights on. And it's lights out and away we go in Italy, and we've got a big incident here. We've got a McLaren round. Nobody's facing the wrong way already. King Bart gets away well, as does Cookie. But we've got T-Cake and Tori side by side as we go into turn 1. Everybody early on the brakes, keeping it clean. King Bart leads this one.
Evil Steel on Jock James into the first chicane.
Awkward from Van on base across the first chicane there, and 3-second time penalty already for Jock James for corner cutting. It's very much a few wide at the back. But King Bart leads away, and Tori has now made it up into second place.
Yeah, I will say from my angle there already, that contact was on Jock James and pushed him off, so I would not be counting on those 3 seconds to stay whatsoever.
We saw Roy Weller into the wall there at the back of the circuit. A disastrous start again for both McLarens, and Roy Weller with front wing damage having to recover to the pit lane. We've also seen an incident for a reef somewhere.
No, that's not, and I'm just going to feel the hatred from Roy Weller already.
So King Bart leads as we come out of Ascari. There's a big train of cars behind Evil Steel, who was up in 7th place and was very, very aggressive into the first corner again. Evil Steel did pick up a lot of penalties for essentially a dive bomb into turn 1 in Spain. We've got the Williams looking up the inside now and a robust move.
Contact with Evil Steel, sorry Harringzord, going through parabolic, and Dennis the Great wheel to wheel with Evil Steel getting just away, but it looks like Hummersep's going to be the one that takes advantage of that.
Yeah, Hummersep's had a great start, has moved up from P14 to P7 as Mahoney goes the other way in the other Mercedes. Down into turn 1, Hummersep now P7 confirmed, and it's Daft moving up into the top 10. There might be a little bit of contact there between the Williams and the Mercedes, as Hummersep was a little bit slow in that first section. But it was a little messy. It was sort of clean. It was sort of not clean. We've got in the pits, the timing screens are a bit off, so it's quite difficult to get the battle I'm looking for, which is Hercules and Daft.
I believe we had an issue with a car false starting that caused a bit of an issue originally. I can't remember who it was. It caused a false start. And then I'm not sure what happened with the two Renaults, the two McLarens. Canurdi looked like he didn't start at all, and cars clipped him, and Roy Weller looked like he was pushed quite wide.
It's been a disastrous start for Cookie, who's dropped from second on the grid to P6, in this opening section of the race. The timing screen still just updating a little bit, because we're still showing Roy Weller at the front, and in fact I'm wrong, it's P5 for the AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Move coming here from the AlphaTauri. It's Cookie on the back of Ice Kid Man. DRS is not open, I don't think. We did get the beep.
It is now, but he's got the line, so will Ice Kid Man submit? Holds that well from Ice. Nice clean racing from both drivers there.
Yeah, very, very clean. We've got a little bit of action further back as we see the Racing Point and the Williams of Dennis the Great getting close together. Hercules now with a good run and a 3-second time penalty for Mahoney early on in this race. The Mercedes have had very much alternate fortunes on this opening lap. Mahoney going backwards and Hummersted very much going forwards. Hercules around the outside, but there's way too much speed into the Della Roggia chicane and we'll have to give that place back. And the problem is that Daft will be looking to take advantage here. Very, very tricky for Hercules to give that place back legally. And Daft makes contact and into the wall. And off in sympathy goes Van on base.
Action all over the place here.
Van on base seemingly distracted by Daft going off ahead of him. And just sort of sliding off, getting a bit of oversteer in sympathy of that incident. But King Bart pulling clear considerably from Tory and TK.
Coming down the backstretch, TK sizing Tory up here, whether they'll take it in Parabolica or wait for DRS to go into the first chicane to make a move. But they have went quite slow through Parabolica, so lost a bit of pace.
Here we go, we'll have the DRS this lap. And we'll presumably have a little bit of overtake. We've used quite a lot of overtake as we come down to turn 1. We're not going to see a dive bomb here from TK. It would be a little bit dangerous to do so. And just having to hold station at this point. Oh, we've got one of the AlphaTauris has gone deep there. I think that was that Jock James? Yeah, Jock James recovering to the circuit. Gone too deep and having to take to the escape road. Losing a lot of time to his teammate Cookie.
We've got TK really sizing Tory up here. Tory catching a bit of gravel in the second chicane, so won't have the greatest pace or control here. We'll see if TK can size them up going into Ascari. Ascari, of course, not the sort of place you want to make any overtakes whatsoever. It's almost a terrible idea if you want to try and jump somebody here, but we'll see if they hold position sensibly into the back stretch. Look like they do.
Oh, and Cookie's gone wide there in the AlphaTauri and lost it, and into the wall goes Cookie from wing damage. I don't think it's terminal, but it's going to be a nightmare to recover that car and a disaster for Cookie after such a good qualifying session. Losing it at the exit of Ascari from wing damage, and we'll have to see a pit stop there for the AlphaTauri. No safety car deployed.
No, massive shame there for Cookie, who showed some great pace into qualifying and, you know, fighting back here in the grid. So we'll see. It's not over. Cookie gets in these pits. I don't know. You could take hards here and try to stay on for the rest of the race, but I'm not a big fan of hards. So it could be the medium set and Canuri and Cookie hoping for another safety car later on.
I don't want to jinx it, but Carter having a decent run so far in the second Renault. Close wheel-to-wheel fight with Mahoney here, having gone round the outside of the Parabolica, and Carter holding that position. Very well driven there from the Renault driver, and Carter moves up into the points.
We have had an overtake by T-Keg on Tory as we were watching that Cookie incident. T-Keg has overtaken Tory.
Indeed, yes, apologies for missing that one, but the Ferrari now up into second place and setting about King Bart, who is looking in pretty much serene control of this one.
King Bart, however, is taking the Ascari corners very cautiously, so there is pace there to be gained if T-Keg's willing to throw it about a bit.
Yeah, he's lost about 3/10, 2 or 3/10, King Bart, since we've got on board watching T-Keg here. We have got a chance. We have to get within DRS range, and of course, in theory, if Tory can keep pace, we'll drag the racing point with us as well. Ice Kid Man in fourth place, and fastest lap of the race from T-Keg in the Ferrari. Right down the field, we've got DRS open for Hercules here. Dennis the Great going very well in the second Williams behind Ice Kid Man. Hercules late on the brakes, surely not going to make that into the corner. Very, very hard on the anchors and having to get out. Dennis the Great, of course, worth pointing out, on the medium tyres. I do apologise, I've not had the tyres up for you. So it's Dennis the Great, Van on base, Roy Weller and Cookie not on soft tyres at the moment.
Indeed. We also had Dave K picking up a 3-second penalty as well just a few corners ago. Taking them just as their first 3-second penalty, so not too major.
So the McLaren's on a recovery drive. We've got Mahoney right on the back of Carner, who's hanging on to that final point, but it's early days in this race. And we've seen Carner lose the back of that Renault quite a lot in the previous 2 races. So hopefully he can just keep it held together and have a clean race this time out.
Indeed. And here Hercules, of course, sizing up Dennis the Great within under half a second here. So if they don't get them on the back stretch into Parabolica, expect the turn going into first chicane. But I think they're going to take their time here, be patient. They must feel they've got the speed.
Yeah, Hercules very much compromising their own line at the Parabolica there, and that's going to cost them the opportunity to get on the back of the Williams down the front straight. They are closing in at quite a rate of knots, presumably heavy on the overtake button here. Dennis the Great going to the inside, trying to defend this on medium tyres, so we'll see how much life is in those soft. Hercules gets it stopped just about. Dennis the Great fights back a little bit, but Hercules with a very clean overtake there and up into 7th place. Oh, Dennis the Great off into the wall. Oh, and reversing across the circuit, that was looking a little dangerous. I know ghosting's on, but just losing it on acceleration there, and Dennis the Great is going to have to pit now, and that's going to really ruin this strategy where we want to go medium softs. The softs, there's no way they'll make it 20 laps through this race.
No, and I must say the commentators curse striking again after commentating on Dennis the Great having such a great race so far.
It's a real race of attrition, Monza. You've got to keep it clean. It's so easy to make a mistake.
Definitely, and we've got Tory trying to size up T-Keg here. Tory within 0.8, so if they're good Parabolica, will have DRS going into the first chicane. But just not finding the pace through Parabolica to keep right behind that Ferrari. We'll see if they can catch them up on the straight.
Yeah, we are quite far back, so that'll be another lap behind T-Keg. But Tory just keeping in play. Of course, safety cars are likely in Monza from what we've seen this weekend. So, just certain things like virtual safety car, yellow flag.
I think it's one of the racing points. Could that be Hercules?
Well, Hercules into the pits. I'm not sure if there was a moment there that cost us a little bit of front wing. We will see as they come into the stop. And Nordy with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It is going to be a nose change for Hercules.
And Tory closing up faster onto TK here, down to 0.6, 0.5. See if they can get a better outing of Ascari down at the Parabolica and make a move. TK spins into the gravel, shaking all over. Holds it onto the track though, and Tory gets past.
I was just watching Mahoney, who got through on corner, and we missed that moment. But Tory now back into 2nd place. We were just saying how easy it is to make a mistake around here.
Tory has made a mistake in Ascari as well though.
Oh, and Tory with a big tank slapper there. Did they manage to hold it? Yes, but they've lost the place to T-Keg. These soft tyres are all out of grip.
Yep, T-Keg losing it on the outing of Lesmo, going at the gravel. Now, was tank slapping left to right, but he held it phenomenally well, which gave Tory the gap, and then Tory misjudging Ascari, and then having the same tank slap issue, and T-Keg cleanly getting past. So, wild driving here, coming into corners, but cars making safe passes at least.
The only thing this has done is allowed King Bart to increase his lead to 3.2 seconds. And it is looking very, very good for the Renault once again.
It is again. It's what we were saying earlier though. It's these clean driving. King Bart puts the pace down, but it's very clean through these tracks, which is the real, I would say, source of speed that King Bart gets here.
Time penalty
only 3 seconds penalties again. Mahoney really not hooking up that first chicane, and it's going to damage that final time.
A spin for corner in the first corner. Anyone on soft tyres really beginning to struggle now in this part of the race.
Indeed. We'll see if they make an adjustment for these corners to do so.
Here comes Nordy towards the back on Cookie. And the McLaren getting the move done. Cookie's gone for the hard tyres here, trying to run this to the end. Didn't really have any other choice, having taken that wing damage. Wants to try and keep to a one-stop strategy, but all of these guys at the back very much hoping for a safety car at some point in this race. Tory goes to the pits. No, stays out. No.
Indeed, I thought perhaps he got a shout. Was Hercules still in the pit lane? No. Dennis the Great, 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. That must be one hell of a corner cut for 10 seconds.
That has to be the first chicane. That is almost certainly the first chicane. We've gone too heavy into there. And in the pits at the moment is Ice Kid Man in the Williams.
We've got Hummersep up into 5th place. Hummersep really benefiting from these early errors by a lot of drivers. Now, Somerset 5th place, but is on track 4th with Jock James's times. So Somerset really benefiting from a nice clean start and race here.
As we said, the driver that has the quiet, clean race here is the one that might just sneak up into the top 5, and Somerset very much doing that at this point. The main fight on track is very much between T-Keg and Tory, both of whom we've seen are struggling on those soft tyres, and both of whom are very, very close together.
We've got an arse shake here from Arif. Arif struggling to hold it coming out the chicane, but did, which lets Roy Weller through into 10th place.
Bart out in the final corner. We'll see if they opt for the pits this time. Nope, going around on another lap of this Monza circuit. And this time it is the pits for Tory, the first to blink. An excruciatingly slow 50 miles an hour here at Monza, with everybody else doing over 200 down the main straight.
Somerset as well coming in here for the pit, so hoping to take advantage, getting quick, get out quick, and just keep those tyres going.
It looked like there was a slow stop there for Tory, but we then just, I don't know what's happening with this camera, a little bit wobbly. But Tory back out onto the circuit. I think it was all fine, and there was just a bit of a game lag there. Tory out into plenty of clean space behind the
yellow flag in sector 3. Dave K spawning, but getting it back on track, so no safety car, just some yellow flags. Remember, it's just, well, take one safety car and really throw this race into the mixer.
Here comes Hercules on a reef. Hercules on considerably fresher tyres in that racing point, having stopped for a bit of a nose change earlier on as well, and goes quite deep, but keeps it clean into the first chicane. Ice Kid Man has got past Van on base as well. Van on base round in the background. Not sure if there was contact there, but Van on base on those old medium tyres, spinning when in close contact with Ice Kid Man, or possibly just ahead of him, and losing quite a bit of time there, having to recover that and going quite slowly with Somerset on those fresh mediums looking to pounce.
King Bart into the pit lane as well, just getting the brakes on there before crossing the line. T-Keg in behind as well.
You can see the Ferrari mechanics coming out for T-Keg, but King Bart with 3.6 in hand. We'll see where Tory is on the circuit, just on the back stretch now. Unlikely that we'll see an undercut, considering he was a good 3 or 4 seconds behind. But
I'm not sure, it is going to be close.
Wait, hang on. Why is T-Keg out ahead of King Bart?
Has there been an issue with King Bart? Did King Bart perhaps wing damage?
I'm not sure what happened there, but T-Keg leads this race from Tory. They're both ahead of King Bart.
Tory has the pace, but T-Keg on the cold tyre, so this is Tory's chance. Tory has to keep the pace, and Tory having a wee shake, but Tory has to keep the pace here and take advantage of the warmer tyres.
I have no idea what happened to King Bart, but it was a very, very slow pit stop. And it's profited for both T-Keg and Tory. That fight for second place is now a fight for first place. But remember that the Renault has got more pace than both of these drivers behind them, so that gives us an excellent fight for the victory.
Indeed.
Oh, Karna pitting meant they weren't ready, so Karna pitted on the same lap. And that proved to be disastrous. It was a slow stop for King Bart because of that.
That is going to... I don't know if you have to put that down to King Bart themselves, because they will have known that their teammate was in the pit lane. Now, let's have a look here, because... But Tory not being able to take advantage of that pace earlier on, not being able to get around T-Keg, and T-Keg showing a lot of pace here, building up a bit of a gap, almost getting it over a second.
Yeah, we got Somerset and Jock James very close together. Little bit of Armenstein pride on the line here.
Yes, definitely. The Armenstein boys will definitely be wanting to be duking out, but Somerset has to be aware, you know, he does have the time penalty on Jock James, and I believe he's got the better tyres. Jock James has been pitting early.
No, they've both got the same. I think they both paid on this.
Both, yeah. Somerset actually on a lap older tyres, my mistake there.
Indeed. Here comes the Mercedes. We've got a big overspeed going to the inside on Jock James, and this could get a little low. Jock James has left a lot of room there, doing the right thing, but having to crawl across those curbs in the second corner. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and it's Evil Steel around in the Red Bull.
Going to have to be careful coming on.
3-second time penalty for King Bart. Multiple warnings.
That's got to be chicane 2 that's causing that.
Evil Steel has now retired. I'm not sure, but the Red Bull is just off the circuit here, somewhere at the back, and now recovering. The AI's taken over that driver Very, very dangerous. We're not sure what that car would do, but Hummersep has made the pass. But was that under yellow flag conditions?
We'll have to see. We will have to see indeed.
TK pulling out a 1.1 second lead at the front, and King Bart within DRS range.
Ice Kid Man sliding, coming out of his car. He's lost the front right.
Ice Kid Man out! And that might be a safety car. It is. It's a full safety car. Ice Kid Man out of this race.
And TK has just passed the pit lane.
Well, to be honest, I don't think anybody would pit at this stage. But Ice Kid Man out of this race. We won't match our career best second here. That is the end of the race for the Williams. And that is going to close the pack right up. Remember that King Bart now carrying a 3-second time penalty in this race. So has it all to do.
Hummersep looking bold here for a big opportunity. Van on base picking up another 5 seconds being in the penalty. But Hummersep's got to be looking at this as a big, big chance to get on the podium.
Hard tyres for Van on base. We don't think the softs can make it to the end. So going for the hards instead, because you have to change compound. You can't go for another set of medium tyres. So clearly we want to take advantage of the cheap stop under the safety car because it'll gain us a few positions. But hard tyres, trust me, not the tyre to be on around Monza.
No bueno on hard tyres, definitely.
Yeah, the 2 to 3 laps under the safety car could have made the difference there. Maybe the softs was the right call. It certainly feels like it would have been better to try that than the hards, which are pretty much useless. Safety car parked on the circuit. It'll wait to pick up the leader coming out of the first chicane. The leader just around the back of the circuit, and it is T-Keg at this stage.
It will be interesting to see if any of the top 4 do pit in, or will they just try to hold their tyres for the end. If anybody fancies sneaking onto the softs and making a real run at it.
Bunch the pack up. I think Karna's looking very... No, it's the safety car. The safety car is yellow. So it makes me think it's a Renault every single time. Dennis the Great coming out of the pits, and I think we'll just stay ahead. TK probably, to be honest, wants that car to stay ahead because it'll then be out of his way and it'll go past the safety car because I think Dennis the Great will be allowed to pass the safety car. No, so Dennis the Great sitting behind surely now has to sit there. And actually that might be better for TK because there's a car in between himself and Tory on this restart.
Indeed, this was the issues that we've seen before, safety cars before. The fact that T-Keg snuck in front of Dennis the Great there does give that, albeit back marker, but it does force at least a bit of a gap between T-Keg and Tory automatically.
If I'm Cookie, I might have gone to the medium tyres here. I think anybody on the hard tyres in this lower half of the field, get yourself onto the medium tyres now while you've got the opportunity. You might lose 1 or 2 spaces, but it's just going to give you so much more race pace than that hard.
I mean, the other option would be if you're Cookie, you go into those soft tyres and just really try to make something of it. Tory having to give space between Dennis the Great and T-Keg. Tory's not going to like this. Mahoney again picking up a penalty. And I'm guessing that's going to be through one of the chicanes there. Not the best of races.
Yeah, picking up a time penalty behind the safety car will be very, very frustrating.
Hummersep just lining up behind King Bart nicely, giving a bit of room. No need to be right on the bumper, because we do know King Bart does have those time penalties. Although I must say, Jock James has a 3-second penalty, but if you ask me, that 3-second penalty will be removed. Now the drivers on track won't know this, but I believe Jock James, because from my angle what I saw, Jock James was pushed through the first chicane, which I would believe would be removed if that was a penalty not of their own fault.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's always the tricky thing calling these races that we never quite know how the final result will stand.
Now, what you want to make sure here is no silly contacts, no silly 5 penalties for contact under the safety car or anything like that.
Yeah, Dennis the Great running quite close to the back of that lead Ferrari, which is very much not what you want in that lead Ferrari.
Not. The last thing T-Kegs want is going to be a stupid wee bumper shunt by mistake.
So how does it look? T-Keg leads from Tory, King Bart third after that slow pit stop that we believe was caused by Karna, his teammate, pitting on the same lap. King Bart did lead this race and came out of the pit stop behind TK as they both stopped at the same time. Hummersep is 4th, Jock James is 5th with a penalty that may or may not be removed. Daft doing very, very well in the Haas in P6. That's very quietly gone about getting all the way up into a good points position there. Hercules is 7th. Nordy in that McLaren, who spun directly off his grid slot for reasons that we're not sure why, has now recovered to 8th position. And Cookie is 9th. Remember, having also lost a front wing, but is on the hard tyres. Mahoney rounding out the points positions at the moment.
Yep, Cookie, the original big loser out of the issues on the first rate for the first corner, but it's really fought his way back and can still gain some decent positions based on the time penalties on those drivers ahead of him.
Now, we're not showing any indication that the safety car would be in this lap. You'd normally find that out at the end of the second sector, which is just prior to Ascari, if that was going to be the case. We are following the safety car very, very closely indeed.
Yeah.
I really hope it doesn't go to the pits now, because we had an incident like this in the Division 6 race where the safety car pulled off, and I mean, I didn't even know it was going in. I hadn't had the pop-up until it literally pulled off into the pit lane.
Again, now I don't know if it is just waiting for, I believe it's Dave Kay to make that catch-up before going in. So it could be another lap or two.
I would imagine this will be the last lap behind the safety car, which will basically give us 10 laps to the line.
Yep.
But of course, we have seen incidents abound on safety car restarts here in Monza.
Indeed. Credit must be given so far to these cars, though, for so far no contact under the safety car.
Please don't jinx it. Please don't jinx it.
We are hoping the safety car is going to come in this lap so we can get back to racing and almost a sprint to the finish. 10 laps if it does at this stage. A lot of cars in some good positions.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, Dennis the Great will pull to one side down the main straight and let most of these front guys go. Because I think the last thing we want is a ghosting lap car distracting these guys as they're racing tooth and nail for the win.
The only other...
Safety car is in this lap.
Safety car is in. Good.
Now, be careful. Everybody. Please be careful.
Yes. TK giving himself plenty of space between him and the safety car. Which I believe is a smart idea, just to make sure that he sees that clean move before they can go.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not giving it more than that, because you can't overtake the safety car. So this is what you're going to see. You're going to see people expecting him to have gone and actually having to slam on the brakes. And there's the collision. King Bart and Tory have come together under the safety car. We are green here in Monza, and it is going to be many, many cars wide as we go down towards turn 1.
James speeding through there.
Jock James has timed it to perfection, but has had to give the places back. It was illegal overtakes. It is all gone wrong here on the safety car restart, but TK leads in the midfield. It's many cars wide as Hercules goes through on Daft. Lots of contact there. Jock James now wide, and then AlphaTauri spinning across the circuit. No! Just about getting away with it. He's clean enough from all of those cars. Here comes Daft on Hercules. But we didn't see what happened between Tory and King Bart on that safety car restart. But penalties for both of them plays very much into TK's hands.
Indeed. And we've still got Dennis the Great sitting in between Tory and King Bart. So I'm not sure the process, if this should be... Obviously, the ghost car causing, I believe, sight issues going into a few corners here.
I think everybody expected TK to floor it before the Parabolica. And when TK didn't floor it before the Parabolica, we ended up with a lot of cars horribly backed up. A few guys side by side, and then it all went wrong as we went down the straight. A lot of penalties picked up there. Just to confirm, 5 seconds now for Tory and 8 seconds for King Bart. And the stewards will need to sort that one out.
Indeed. Jock James looked to have timed things to perfection. Safety car was in, so unsure why he was forced to give those positions back. King Bart making a move on Tory, going down the inside. God does have the pace, and it looks to be a clean overtake, but Tory won't give up so easy.
Yeah, the Williams is a lapped car, so it will ghost. We don't have to worry about hitting that. But King Bart is through. Remember that King Bart does have 3 seconds of time penalties that we definitely will have to serve, because that was a corner cutting penalty. So the 5 seconds, it'll depend. The 3 seconds we'll definitely have to serve. So we need to get past T-Keg and stretch out a lead. Man on base now up into the points. Nordy in the points as well. And Cookie is kind of going to be struggling, I think, on those hard tyres. But a lot of cars nose to tail here as we come through the first of the 2 Lesmo corners. Man on base at the front of this queue. Sector 2, yellow flag. And it is Arif who is out of this race in the Haas. Unfortunately for Arif, has dropped it there at the back of the circuit. And we have another safety car.
Another safety car, yes. Arif on track, so it's going to bunch them up again here. So we'll see what's going to happen here. T-Keg are still not great news for King Bart. Maybe hoping to get a bit of pace between them and Tory to escape those 3 seconds.
Do we see pit stops? If you're at the back, I think you now pit for soft or medium tyres.
Oh, Tory thought about going in, but I think cancelled when they didn't see Bart or T-Keg going in.
Into the pits goes the McLaren. Into the pits goes what I think was Jock James in the AlphaTauri. So we've got Roy Weller and Jock James gambling here on fresher tyres. Nobody else opting to do so. And a 5-second penalty for Mahoney for hitting Cookie now. Cookie facing the wrong way.
Indeed.
Cookie front wing damage. And what happened there? Cookie's facing the wrong way now under the safety car. And Cookie with a 5-second penalty for hitting Dave Kay as they recovered at the circuit. It has all gone wrong for AlphaTauri.
Not the day for Cookie. Not the day at all after such a great start.
The driver, and I hope we don't jinx him, but the driver keeping it very much quiet and out of trouble is Hummersep.
Indeed.
Who is on for a podium here with potential penalties for the car ahead.
Indeed, he's on for 2nd place.
So, general consensus would be Tory was the lead car. King Bart went into the back of Tory. So, the general rule would be that King Bart would get the additional penalty and Tory might see theirs removed. But the kicker being, if T-Keg is deemed to have possibly done an unsafe restart here, or it was deemed that everybody was too close or that everybody got it wrong, we'll have to see how the stewards rule on this. But I mean, it's been a common issue across a lot of races.
Having watched T-Keg start, you know, they weren't dropping pace dramatically and increasing and dropping. They were slowing down gently, but holding that pace round Parabolica, so in no instance showed that they were starting. So
that's the key, isn't it? The key is if T-Keg had have gone and then slowed down, that would be an instant penalty for the Ferrari. But I don't think that happened. No. I think the scenario that happened was that the lapped car of Dennis de Great went, and Mahoney's now retired from the session, having come into the pit lane.
From Mahoney, But I think that's exactly what's happened. The lapped car of Dennis de Great has anticipated the Ferrari going, which has then caused the other drivers to shift as well, causing a few issues, which, I mean, I don't know if this lap car should have been.
Look at T-Keg's front wing. The front left end plate is gone on T-Keg's car. I think that's the back of the safety car. Because who else could he have possibly hit?
I don't see any damage on T-Keg's front wing on my side.
It's the front left end plate on T-Keg's car is missing.
Oh, indeed, yes.
So that is going to cost him quite a bit of downforce. Not that you run a lot of downforce here at Monza, but the understeer will be sufficient. And that is something else that plays into Hummersep's hands. Could Hummersep win this race?
Mr. Slow and Steady Hummersep, you know, he prides himself.
We've had a collision further back. Van on base and Nordy have come together. If the stewards thought they were busy last week, they have seen nothing.
Bring back Monaco, yeah.
Safety car not looking like it's coming in this lap.
No.
I'm surprised at that one.
I must say, I'm on board here with Dennis the Great, watching King Bart and T-Keg, and you're not fitting half a car in between these two in first and second. Now, if there's contact, there's silly contact if it happens. I don't see the need for the risk personally.
It is making it very, very difficult to call who will actually be the winner of this race when all the cars go over the line. And again, we've got cars backing up through the Parabolica. I think the idea is that we're waiting for Cookie here, but the safety car will go around again. You'd almost certainly expect a little pit at the end of lap 22, so that'll give us 4 laps. In fact, 5 laps, sorry, to the line. The T-Keg to hang on with a damaged front wing against what we can see are penalties for King Bart and Tory, but we don't know what level of penalties it is.
Yep, and I'm looking just down a wee bit more. Roy Weller, 9th place, soft tyres. Within a few seconds of top points, could make a huge jump here. Has at least 2 cars in front of him on penalties. Could make it, if, you know what I mean, was bold, went for the softs, could make real advantage of this if they time it right.
Yeah, Dave Kay and Karner are the 2 cars ahead, and they're 2 drivers that we know have struggled so far in this Division 5 season. So you would expect Roy Weller on those soft tyres on that McLaren to be able to get past both of those drivers and then set about getting past Daft and Hercules.
Yep, Hercules of course with a penalty as well for 3 seconds, so it's a bit more catchable than you would think. Daft, I must say, great drive from Daft along with Hummersep today. Daft really went about their own business, up 10 places to Hummersep's 10, but you know, Daft sneaking under the radar a bit, I must say.
The lap car of Dennis the Great is still in between King Bart and Tory. Not many cars managed to clear that between the 2 safety car periods. Safety car is in this lap, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get it right this time.
So, I don't know if you want to sit on King Bart, we can watch Dennis the Great collision with King Bart.
So that is surely just a time penalty for the Williams and not for... Yeah, nothing's been handed to the Renault, so King Bart has done nothing wrong there.
Right. Now, if you want to sit on King Bart, we'll see if how T-Keg starts this.
Right, T-Keg very close to the safety car again, and there's cars backing up again. Dennis the Great with contact. There's cars... King Bart, penalty awarded again. It's not going well. T-Keg now goes, has to slow down again a bit. It's all going to be carnage down the straight. The restarts have not been good.
Hummersep chasing down toward Dennis the Great.
This is going to be a disaster at the back. We're 4 wide and there's cars on the grass now. Karner's on the grass in the Renault. There was cars bumping each other all the way down the straight.
Contact between Hummersep and Tory going into the first chicane, but have both kept it.
It is not clean. And the car off is, I think Dennis the Great has done the right thing and pitted here, but T-Keg does lead from King Bart, who is now showing 13 seconds of penalty. And remember the T-Keg with that front wing end plate damage.
Hummersep going a bit wild here going into Lesmo, which has given Hercules a sniff going up into Ascari.
Here comes King Bart, T-Keg slow, out of the Lesmos. He doesn't have pace in that Ferrari because of the front wing damage.
Yellow flag sector 2.
We've got a big incident at the back. Both McLaren, Roy Weller and both Alpha Tauris out of this race. We've got a virtual safety car now.
We just can't seem to get a lap under the belts here, guys, but it is great racing. Or at least entertainment for everybody watching.
So, Jock James and Cookie's lost his entire front wing. Karner was involved in that. And Roy Weller, who was looking so good on those soft tyres, now out of this race. I mean, this is so hard to call. What else has happened? Hercules 5th, Dave Kay now in 7th place. Van on Base, the big winner, now in 8th place. And on soft tyres as well in that Ferrari. But there's a lot of penalties for these guys in the minor points places. We are green. T-Keg can go again.
And he gets a good jump start, as does King Bart. Tory way off the pace.
Yeah, Hummersep right on the back of Tory in the Racing Point. Racing Point P3 and P5 here. Cookie is now retired, has given up the ghost. One too many incidents.
Double yellow flag sector 1 and 3. King Bart right behind T-Keg. You cannot fit anything between them going into Lesmo.
T-Keg has no pace. He's got no pace in that Ferrari. The wing damage is too much. And King Bart takes the lead.
The real question is, can Tory get to within 3 seconds? Because I believe King Bart's only real penalty will be those 3 seconds. Can Tory get to within 3 seconds to hold first place? I'm not sure if Tory's 5 seconds will be removed. We never got a good look at that.
I think King Bart will definitely get away with 5 seconds. I don't know if he'll get away with 10 seconds with the penalties. We know he definitely has 3 to serve. So T-Keg somehow needs to keep within 3 seconds with a damaged front wing. DRS is now enabled, but King Bart has already broken clear of DRS. Here comes Hercules on Hummersep.
See if he makes the move. If Hummersep can defend this. Hummersep in that racing point sandwich, which is where you don't want to be. Smooth by all 3 through chicane 1.
We've lost a lot of cars. We've got 12 runners left, and Dennis the Great way at the back. I think a lap down on everybody in the field now, but King Bart leads. Needs to clear at least 3 seconds for definite. Might need to clear 8 seconds from the stricken T-Keg to be able to win this race.
And the question will be, is there enough laps left for the likes of Hummersep or Tory to catch up on the cars ahead with penalties?
King Bart is going to clear these 3 seconds. He's going to clear the 3 seconds for definite. Purple middle sector from the race leader. But the question is, with 13 seconds of penalty showing against his name, how many will the stewards take away? This race is going to be settled in the stewards' room.
That is for sure, unless we have any last 2-lap incidents that allows T-Keg through.
There's the 3-second gap that we needed. T-Keg suffering with that wing damage. King Bart fastest lap of the race, which at least guarantees a point. Again, for the fastest lap. Yellow flag in sector 3. Ferrari off, fan on base in the wall.
Now, where is that position? Where is it? He's back on track in the middle. Should be able to recover it.
We won't see a safety car this late in the race. We will run to the end now. And it's T-Keg still with a bit of a gap ahead of Tory. Tory's not making up the ground in the same way as King Bart did. And T-Keg, I don't know if King Bart made a mistake, but T-Keg has gained a couple of tenths back on the Renault driver.
Indeed, King Bart taking a lot out the corners in the second chicane. Turning into Lesmo now, into the outward corner. We'll see how they hold it going through. Very clean.
I mean, with all the once the game will apply the penalties, so Hummersep is going to finish at this rate in P2 on the track.
Yes. And it will then just depend of how much of those penalties do get served by the drivers.
Nordy side by side with Daft. But again, Daft with no penalties. Daft has kept it very, very clean in the Haas, so can let Nordy go, and we'll get that place back later on. We're about to come around to start the final lap of this race, and King Bart leads, or does he? We kind of have no idea. Keep an eye out. T-Keg slow out with the Parabolica. So it'll be Tory using whatever we've got left in the battery. But I don't think we're going to get close enough down the main straight. Van on base not pitting in the Ferrari with that heavy front wing damage, looking to just hang on ahead of Karner by 10.9 seconds at this stage. So might well be able to hang on for a solitary point. It has really been a race of attrition with Dave Kay on course for his first points in FRS. King Bart now with a 4.7 second lead. I think 8 seconds might guarantee the win of the race, but that's very, very unlikely. Tory is right behind T-Keg.
Can they get the move? You'd imagine they're going to save it for the race down into Parabolica. You don't want to risk a suicidal dive in on Ascari.
The problem is out of VRS, but Tory, will we get to go for this? Going to the inside. Tory makes the move, and it is clean. T-Keg left that one, left the door open a little bit and kept it clean, probably thinking that he'll get the place back with the penalties, but Tory is through. And King Bart stretching that lead out now even more to 6.2 seconds around the final corner to win as Hercules has gone off. King Bart wins in Italy, but we don't know if that's the case. This will be settled in the stewards' room. So when the penalties are applied, it will show that T-Keg is the winner of this race from Tory. In fact, Hummersep second and Tory in P3. Hercules had a big incident there on the last lap and has lost a lot of places. Daft with a very good P5 for Haas. And Nordy and Dave Kay across the line with penalty served. Jock James takes 7th place. Dave Kay will finish 9th when all is said and done here and picks up his first 2 points of the season for Alfa Romeo. Van on base, stricken with big front wing damage and across the line in 10th. But there is so much to dissect from that one.
You would not want to be a steward this weekend, I must say.
Hummersep, the driver of the day, and there's an argument to be made for Hummersep, who kept that very, very clean and incident-free.
Definitely. I believe 12 positions gained there from qualification. Hummersep's really showing, that clean racing mentality that he's so famous for, really getting a big advantage of that here today. See here, T-Keg celebrating with Hummersep and Tory.
Indeed, so Tory picking up another podium, nice and consistent there from the Racing Point driver. But this one will be settled in the steward's room. It was King Bart who crossed the line first, but showing 13 seconds of time penalties. I'm confident at least 5 seconds of that is going to be removed. So that would mean, I think, that he would win the race if 5 seconds was removed. No, he might be slightly behind TK.
0.8 off. 0.8 off TK, I believe.
So he needs another penalty to be removed to be able to win this race. He was 8/10 short of what I think is the guaranteed removal, where Dennis the Great ran into the back of him. It remains to be seen. We didn't see it. It remains to be seen what happened between Tory and King Bart on the safety car restart. My thought, and I think you agree with this, McNaughton, is that the lapped car of Dennis the Great anticipated that T-Keg had gone, floored it, and then all the cars behind floored it, and T-Keg hadn't gone. And then when the lapped car slammed on the brakes, we had carnage behind.
I believe that was on the first restart, yes. On the second safety car restart, I'm not sure if the stewards will look into it, because T-Keg did appear to slow down quite dramatically coming out of Parabolica, which I believe caused some contact between Tory and King Bart. So it will be interesting if that was due to the safety car forcing them not to race, but I believe the stewards are probably looking at that, so a lot to go on.
If the steward's decisions go his way, Hummersep might pick up a first podium in FRS for a very clean and very solid drive. Daft with a very good drive on the Haas as well to P5. Nordy is 6th on the track, Jock James 7th, Hercules 8th. A big shout out to Dave Kay, who picks up his first points in this Division 5 season with 9th place. And Van on Beige with heavy front wing damage comes across the line in 10th position. Oh. I mean,
who would be a steward?
Who would be a steward? If you're a steward, I bloody well hope you've booked the week off work.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a busy one. An entertaining race. Very much fitting into the category of a lower division race. With just carnage everywhere, especially on the safety car restart. We saw 4 wide on one of the safety car restarts, with cars bumping into each other all the way down that straight. Maybe sometimes discretion the better part of valor on some of these things, but very, very aggressive.
I definitely think, yeah. Hummersep's shown exactly what can happen if you don't go too much, don't go too fast, and control yourself around this track. Hummersep, a real big winner here for the Armenstein Racing boys. Just like we've seen a few other drivers over the weekend, the ones that have kept it clean with good pace have really benefited from it so far.
There is a lot for the stewards to pick apart. I think that's an understatement. Okay, so whether it's safety car restarts, whether it's people being pushed off the track, whatever it is, there is a lot across all divisions for these guys to deal with this weekend. Monza is a difficult circuit for close wheel-to-wheel racing because these corners are not easy to give enough space when they're so quick as well without losing so much time down the next straight, which you really can't afford to do because you might lose 2 or 3 positions in the process. So we will see what the result of them is. Do you have a driver of the day from that?
I think you have to agree with the game on this. Hummersep, driver of the day for me, with Daft, a big second place driver of the day as well, for a very clean and impressive under the radar race from them.
King Bart, perhaps naturally appointing himself as driver of the day. And I mean, it was a good drive from King Bart, who was caught out with 1 time penalty, which is fair enough. And then these safety car penalties, I just don't know which way it's going to go. I don't know which way the stewards are going to rule on that, and I would hate to speculate as well.
Yes.
It's a shame, because if it is the case that TK has perhaps defeated King Bart today, and we've seen the first driver do that, it's a shame to not know that right now. But unfortunately, these things happen.
No, well, I believe it's not going to get any easier for our drivers next week in Baku. So not exactly like it's a wide track there either, so we will see.
No, and the problem with Baku is the walls that are right next to the circuit. So you can't have a wide moment in Baku because you will be out of the race very, very quickly. So yeah, rough race for King Bart, and that might have allowed TK in to win today, because TK did keep it penalty free, it must be said. And the only real damage that they suffered, or in terms of their time, was the literal damage that they suffered, hitting the back of the safety car.
Indeed, indeed.
A deep breath. It was fun. It was carnage. For those of us who don't have to comb through all of this with the proverbial tooth comb, we can sort of discuss it and have a laugh about it and that sort of thing. But if you're a steward this week, I wish you the very best of luck.
Indeed. And I believe that will wrap things up here, Harringzord. So very big thank you to you and the chat and the drivers for this evening's race even.
Yes, it was it was a bit of a bumper car race at parts, that one. But it was an entertaining one to cast, as they always are here in FRS. So that will wrap it up for us this week. Big thank you to McNugget for the co-cast, as always.
Thank you very much. I look promisingly to see who is going to be top of McNugget's naughty list next week.
The naughty list is
King Bart could be up there. King Bart could be there.
Cheers for tuning in, guys. Thank you to O'Hay for raiding us earlier on, and cheers for you guys. We love seeing you guys support your favourite drivers in the chat, and this week it was kept nice and civil as well, which is always good. We do like.
Indeed.
Right, we will be back next week, and until then, have yourselves a good week. Get your practice in Baku, and we will see you at 8 p.m, just before 8 p.m. UTC, for round 4 here in FRS Division 5.